गणपतये नमः। ॐ सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारम् व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे। Let us churn the butter, the essence of Gita. Through churning Geetarjanam, the buttermilk, the focused mind. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Namo Devye Gita Pritaye. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Namo Devye Gita Pritaye. Om Bhagavate Vasudeva. Om Devye Gita. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः
सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः
सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु
रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन्
आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा
आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा
प्रसादमधिगच्छति
प्रसादमधिगच्छति
प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां
प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां
हानिरस्योपजायते
हानिरस्योपजायते
प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु
प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु
बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते
बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य
न चायुक्तस्य भावना
न चायुक्तस्य भावना
न चाभावयतः शान्तिः
न चाभावयतः शान्तिः
अशान्त्यस्य कुतः सुखम्
अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्
इन्द्रियाणां हि चरताम्
इन्द्रियाणां हि चरता
यन्मनोनुविधीयते
यन्मनोनुविधीयते
तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम्
तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम्
वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि
वायुर्नाम विवाम्भसि
तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो
तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो
निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
निगृहीतानि सर्वशः
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता
तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता
या निशा सर्वभूतानां
या निशा सर्वभूतानां
तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी
तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी
यस्यां जागृति भूतानि
यस्यां जागृति भूतानि
सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः
सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः
आपूर्यमाणम्
आपूर्यमाणम्
अचलप्रतिष्ठम्
अचलप्रतिष्ठम्
समुद्रमाप प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्
समुद्रमाप प्रविशन्ति यद्वत्
तद्वत् कामायम् प्रविशन्ति सर्वे
तद्वत् कामाम्यं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे
स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी
न शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान्
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान्
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः
पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः
सशान्तिम् अधिगच्छति
सशान्तिम् अधिगच्छति
येषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ
एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ
नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति
नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति
स्थित्वा स्याम् अन्तकालेऽपि
स्थित्वा स्याम् अन्तकालेऽपि
ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति
ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति
So we had stopped at 61. The meaning for the 62 is Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsah Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bhijayate. The thought of sense objects is the very source of evil. That is what Sri Krishna is trying to drive in. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsah. Pumsah, a human being, a man, a person. When he constantly contemplates on any object, Dhyayato Vishaya. Vishaya is the sense object. Because of that continuous thinking, contemplating on the object, Sangasteshu Upajayate. The attachment to that object arises. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. And because of that attachment to that object, naturally, the desire to acquire it, to possess it, it becomes stronger. Kamat Krodho Vijayate. And by desire, the anger also increases. It becomes more prominent. So, all these things, having attachment, greed, krodha, that is anger, lust, all these things are the mental diseases, manasika roga. So even though our scriptures have dealt with it in detail, like Krishna is doing in Bhagavadgita, there are many scriptures which deal with these finer aspects of our mental body, mana, buddhi, and also the memory, chitta. Yet we give more importance for the physical health, but not the mental health. So it is a very strong point which we all have to take, because the thought is the cause, very cause of the mental disease. The mental disease expresses itself as physical disease. So Krishna is trying to help Arjuna by defining what it does when we keep on thinking or contemplating on the outer objects. The desire for anything ends in two different ways. When we have lots of thinking on any object or even a person, it grows as attachment. That attachment gives rise to the desire. And that desire, when it is accomplished, I got it. That leads to further desire that results as greed, lobha, and that takes in different direction. If it is not accomplished, the desire, if it is not accomplished, then comes dejection, anger, jealousy. So, in whichever way we see, desire is the cause of all evil emotions in a human being. Desire. Even Buddha says, desire is the cause of sorrow. And sorrow, before coming to the point of feeling sorrow, we would have gone through all these different harmful emotions. It is just because of desire. For example, just while walking on the market, just like window shopping, we see one sari. It attracts our attention. When we keep thinking about it, the attachment towards that, more thoughts about it becomes stronger and stronger. Again, next day we would go because we want to see it once again. There comes the desire. I want to acquire it. If I have the money, if it is possible, then I get it. And that gives rise to have many more matching things for that sari. So there is no stop for any one desire. It keeps increasing. If I don't get that sari, it makes me feel sorrow or dejected. And the dejection leads to, why am I so poor? Why I can't afford this? I should have done that. I should have done this. And then anger on self. So it always leads to the destruction of the person. It is not only on the objects and the person. I love that person. I want to have her or him with me. That also gives rise to different emotions. In the same way, people do get attached to their ideals, their concepts, and they want to establish that is the right thing. So when that becomes so prominent, they are not ready to listen to others' concepts, others' ideals, and at once they want to establish their concept or ideal is the only right thing. Why did it happen? Because attachment, the ideal has come to the mind, a concept has come to the mind. Hanging on to that gives rise to the attachment to that concept. And from all possible ways, I will be thinking that is the only right thing. That is the only right thing. And the desire comes to share it with others. And when I share it, there might be many other views on those concepts or ideals. We are not ready to listen to that. If anyone opposes, we get angry. If they all say, yes, it is right, we agree with it, then the ego becomes all the more stronger and it leads to other desires of establishing his one man show. Krodhat bhavati sammohah. The next one. Yeah. Krodhat bhavati sammohah. Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. See how it goes in chain form. The downfall happens in a chain form. So once a person gets krodha, anger, it gives rise to some more, the delusion in the mind, cloudiness in the judgment. There is no possibility of having good sense of proportion. That is also lost. The discrimination between what is right and what is wrong is also gone because of that anger mind. So with that angry, one will not be able to see things clearly. It becomes like there is bright sun, but the cloud is making it look hazy. Like that, that krodha, anger, clouds the mind. That is sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha, the memory of the person. As it is, the mind is clouded, not ready to see anything as it is. In that person, even the memory becomes confused, bewildered. So, memory. Memory is one of the main aspects of a human being because almost 90% of our action depends on the memory. Because we are recreating what we have experienced earlier to take support of that, to build ourselves further, or to judge, we use the memory. If that memory becomes confused, deluded, what will happen? Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinasho, the loss of conscience, the loss of intelligence happens. Because the mind is not clear, the memory is bewildered. With these two negative things, naturally, the intellect, which has to decide the next action, the next moment, even that becomes lost. Buddhinash. And because of Buddhinashat, Pranashyati, the whole being becomes ruined because of Buddhinasha. It is very true. People who get angry, especially short-tempered persons, when they get angry, they do such things for which later on, when the mind becomes stable, they regret for their action, what they had done. But they can't undo it because it is already done. So, krodha, that's smriti, it is so important. When it becomes vibhrama, confused or restlessness in that hazy mind, one is not able to take the decision properly. Their talk, their behavior, their decision, everything will go crazy and they will not be able to come to the point. That is the starting of downfall. And because of this, we have seen how many sages have become the victims of it. The krodha. For example, Durvasa, he's a known person for having krodha. as part and parcel of whatever he is. The minute we say Durvasa, Krodha is attached to. When we see Rudra, Kali, or even Krishna when he was angry, they are all using the anger as an instrument, as a weapon. Even the masters, they use anger as the weapon, instrument to correct another person. Whereas we all become the victims of anger and lose the mind, memory, and the intellect, and we totally become ruined. रागद्वेष वियुक्तैस्तु विषयान् इन्द्रियैश्चन आत्मवश्ये विधेयात्मा prasadam adhigacchati. A person, when he is ragadvesha viyuktaistu, when he is free from attraction or repulsion, aversion, when he is away from that, that person, even though he is amidst all objects, attractive objects around him, Vishayan Indriyaischana, even though he is moving around amidst all the objects of the senses, Atmavashye Vidheyatma. He has surrendered his mind, Anthakarana, Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta, all the four. He has surrendered to Atma, the self. Atma Vashyehi. He is called the self-controlled person because the five senses are not pulling him out towards the objects or the situations, people, emotions which are running in different colors and different intensities. He will not be attracted because he is under the vasha, the charm of Atma, the self, the beauty of Atma, the charm of Atma, the bliss of Atma. He has surrendered to that. So he is under the control of that Atma. That person, prasadam, the peace, serenity, adhigacchati, he attains. Which is so true. When we realize this mind and body are not I, because I also say my mind, my body, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, my skin. Why am I adding that my? In the very core, we know, we have experienced that I am is different from the body and the mind. So we are using the language, but because of the Maya illusion, we are forgetting it, which we should not. Atma vasher videyatma. So I am that Atma. I am established in Atma. I am concerned about Atma. To experience that Atma, I am having mind and body as the instrument. That wisdom we lose most of the time. So we get into the mood which is not conducive at all to be peaceful, to be in serenity. So if you think of it, the persons who are getting attracted to the objects and the outer world and who have become the victims of the five senses, they are on the downfall from divinity to evilness. A person who has this attachment to self, attachment to God, unlike the other person who is attached to the sense objects. This person is rising up from evilness to the divinity. So Krishna is clearly telling us how one can really improve oneself. Desire, attachment to Atma, Ishvara, is the key for one to be peaceful, maintain the serenity. Once we give ourselves to that self or Ishvara, we realize I am in the center and Raga, Dvesha, both are equidistant and both have equal impact on me. They realize. So they don't get attached to Raga or Dvesha. Both are like the two sides of the same coin. And he will be always in the middle, not getting attracted to this or hating this. So this we have studied in Saundarya Lahari while describing what Sri Chakra Meru is, isn't it? When we are in the center, all triangles are equidistant. Happiness, sorrow, attraction, aversion. All are having the same impact. So nothing is greater or less. So we have to be in the center. Prasade sarva dukkanam hanirasyopajayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishtate. So prasade, once we get the serenity or peace in the mind, what happens? Sarva dukkanam hani upajayate. All the sorrow, miseries, everything, all the negativity gets destroyed. All miseries pertaining to body and the mind, isn't it? The miseries, sorrow comes only to the body and only to the mind, not to Atma, who is I am in eternal reality. I am nothing but Atma. That Ishvara is my Atma. When that is so strong, all the miseries, all the sorrows, they just get dissolved, annihilated, and there is no sorrow anymore. Prasade sarva dukkanam hanirasyopajayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishtate. It is not that he's just peaceful, serene, because there is no misery or sorrow. What else happened? Prasanna Chetaso, Hyashu, at once, very soon, Buddhi Paryavatishtate. That intellect just becomes stronger and it expands in all sides. Paryavatishtate. It becomes steadfast, steady, and firm in all aspects. So, that person who is prasada, who is peaceful, serene, his mind and intellect, they expand in all aspects, from all sides. And that is what a person, a human being, from animal, one becomes human being. That human being tries to become the divine being. That divine being is nothing but the expansion of the mind, the intellect, without that ego rising above the intellect, the wisdom. So everything becomes divinized. So he slowly becomes Virat Rupi. He expands because there is no limit for one to expand. So he also feeds the person for all happiness, for bliss. It is the Ishvara, it is the Atma, which is the source, which is oozing from within. It is emerging from within, not from the objects of the outer world. One realizes that. He is prasada all the time, blissfully peaceful and serene. नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभाव यतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्. नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य. Ayuktasya means one who is not at all disciplined. He is very unsteady person, fickle-minded person. Nothing is firm and steady. He is called Ayukta because mind is dragging him in one way, intellect is dragging him in another way, the body is dragging him in another way, the desires are also dragging him in another way. And he's readily giving himself to be dragged, and thus he's not steady at all. There is no discipline in him. So for such person, buddhi, the intellect, will not be there. Because he would have lost that capacity to think in the right way. Not only that, nachayuktasya bhavana. Here, bhavana means deep thinking. Thinking, deep thinking, pondering, contemplating, and meditating. These are all the steps which are called bhavana. At once, one cannot get into the meditation. It goes step by step. A thought will be there, thinking. That thinking becomes deep thinking. And then pondering, reflecting on that happens. That reflecting on the thought takes us one more step ahead to contemplate. And then to meditate on that. So, even that is not possible for the person who is ayukta, means one who is not having that discipline, is undisciplined. When there is no good contemplation, nacha bhavayatha shantihi, there is no shanti in him, there is no peace in him. When there is no peace, ashantasya kutha sukham, where is the happiness for him? So here the happiness is having a very deep understanding. It is a deep experience. Only the peaceful mind can experience it. That calmness, serenity, peace, which gives sukha, that is different. That is not possible to have because the mind is not contemplative, because there is no buddhi, because he is so unsteady. See again how it is connected to one another. So, thirst for objects should not be there. Thirst for Ishvara, thirst for experiencing the self should be strong. For that, one should cultivate having the meditative mind. One should cultivate by sitting at least for few minutes, and it grows on its own. The capacity to sit more will come once we start. So that meditative mind is important even for our day-to-day actions to be accomplished. We need that meditative mind. So there is one beautiful story in Puranas and also in Sanskrit literature. This bee gets into the lotus flower. Because of that faint fragrance, it gets attracted and sits in that lotus, sucking the nectar. And it consumes the nectar to such an extent, and it is so happy enjoying the nectar, and it stays there for a very long time. When it is evening, the sun goes down and the flower also closes with the bee inside. And that bee, because it has enjoyed and it is enjoying the nectar all the more, all the more, all the more. It is not even having the mind to go outside the flower. And the flower petals are not that hard because kashtha bhedo nipunopi sangrihi kunthito bhavati padma vibhede. This bee has the capacity to pierce through, cut through. Kashtha means the wood. That bee has a capacity. It does. But it becomes unable to pierce through the petals and come out. It is stuck there. And what happens? In the morning, the elephant comes and plucks the flower and it eats. Even then, the bee is thinking, I had such nice time drinking the nectar, I'm enjoying, and lotus is moving somewhere, and I am also moving along with it joyfully without realizing that it has already been taken into the stomach of the elephant and it gets digested there. So there ends the story of bee. In the same way, even we people, the age keeps moving, but still our attachment to the sense objects are so strong that we don't realize that the time is clicking. I have to see the purpose of my life. Why did I have this Manava Janma? That mind doesn't come easily. And look at the attachment to the senses, how strong it is. It never gives us way to understand where the attachment to the objects will lead me to. We don't realize it, we don't get it because our desire, attachment towards the objects of the world is so strong. And that's the reason he's telling us in so much detail, Krishna, about desire, about krodha. These are all the diseases of the mind which has to be tackled. So, and also desire is like fire which is constantly fed with ghee, the desire. Or desire is also like the itchy eczema. Once we start scratching, we feel like scratching more and more and more and more and more till the wound becomes so painful that we have to find some other way to tackle it. Like that, the desire takes us towards downfall. And Krishna is really instructing us. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmanonu vidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavam iva ambhasi. What happens when the mind keeps roaming so busily, so attentively, so creatively, so lovingly towards all the objects of the world? When the mind is so busy, what happens? Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nu vidhiyate. The mind which is constantly engaged and which has subdued or offered itself, the mind has offered itself to the sense organs to roam around in the outer world. Tadasya harati pragyam. His intellect, the wisdom, is carried away astray. Tadasya harati pragyam. How? Vayur navami ambhasi. Ambha is water. Navam is the ship. Just like the Vayu, the wind, carries away the boat or the ship which is sailing smoothly on the water in some other direction. It takes away just like that. Instantaneously. The mind also gets carried away from the Ishvara, Atma. So, the mind which yields to the roaming sense organs on the objects will be seized from its prajna, the intellect, the presence of mind, away from the being, and leads him to nowhere. He gets stuck at the wrong points of life. For that matter, every animal will have one sense or the other sense as the weak point. For example, the deer. When there is good sound or music coming, it at once stops and starts listening attentively and becomes the victim or prey for its enemy. So the sound is the weak point for the ear. For bees, it is the smell. The fragrance of the flower attracts and it just follows. For fish, it is the tongue or it is the taste. So when they put insects as the food, it gets attracted to that and becomes the victim. That's the weak point. For elephant, it is the touch. Because it loves the touch of the female elephant, it goes behind it and becomes the victim and falls into the pit. That is how the hunters tame and also bring that rogue elephant under their control. So all these animals have one sense organ as the weak point, whereas the human being has all the five senses. We become the victims of the sense organs. All the five senses are weak unless our mind is strong. Easily gets carried away towards the objects. Even one sense organ of human being is attracted, we go behind it. So holding the mind away from the objects is possible only when it has good control on sense organs, which are always outward. And objects are available, so they become victim. This analogy which they have given is really so very similar to our mind, because the mind gets distracted so easily. We want to sit for meditation, but the minute we hear some conversation, the ear becomes sharper to listen to what the conversation is. Or when we want to study, the book is going on, the TV, naturally the eyes go there. I want to do the vrata of fasting. I'm not going to eat anything today. maybe for the health reason, whatever it is. The minute we smell something good coming from the kitchen, it attracts. We go all the way to the kitchen, we see it. Wow, it looks delicious. Even the smell is good. And we touch it. Oh, the texture is also correct. It is cooked really well. Do we just wash the hand? No, we feel like tasting it. So all the five senses give up. So like the wind, which takes away the big ship by blowing it, and it changes the route itself. So it's a beautiful analogy which Krishna has given. तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. So opposite to that is this shloka. Tasmat, therefore, tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha. O Mahabaho, the mighty armed Arjuna, therefore, whoever has the mind under their control, sarvashaha, in all aspects, at all times, in all situations, indriyani indriyartebhyah, even indriyani, the sense organs from indriyartha, that is objects of the senses. One who has good control, not only on the mind, on the five senses, in all aspects, at all times, in all situations, from the sense objects. His prajna pratisthita, his intellect, the wisdom, the consciousness, discriminatory skill becomes pratisthita, stable and steady. So, what does it mean? The enlightened souls control the mind and the five senses from the objects, and because of that they are able to get established in Atma, in Ishvara, and still carry on the life in this world, because they have prajna, which is pratisthita, which is steady and firm. When that is steady and firm, when the intellect, so there is no necessity of deciding whether I should do it or not, whether I should have it or not. That never comes, because he is very firm and clear what it is. Should I have it or not is not there. It's there. If it is needed, just he takes it. So he won't give way for mind to wander or distracted easily, and he will be firm on that. Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha. Sarvashaha is important. Not only in one aspect he has a good control, but in other things, if he leaves it loose, it is of no use. It is of no use. Sarvashaha. So Krishna is becoming stricter little by little, little by little. Indriyani indriyarthebhya tasya prajna pratishtita. So control on sense organs is a must, is what he's telling. To be a human being who wants to experience peace, serenity in leading the life. But see how easily we people get attracted and move around in different ways and become the victim of the situations, the objects, and go through different emotions. There's no need for all those things at all. But because the mind is so undisciplined, these are all the problems which come. Manasika rogas. या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः. Here he is making it very, very clear. For the question he asked, स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्तस्य केशव स्थितधि किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत व्रजेत किम. What are his descriptions? Is he like us only, or is he different from us? How does he sit? How does he walk? For all these questions, this shloka gives the clue. There is world of difference between sthita prajna and asthita prajna. What is it? Ya nisha sarva bhutanam. When or what is night for all beings? Ya nisha sarva bhutanam. Tasyam jagrati samyami. For him, that night, which is experienced by all beings, that becomes the time of awakening for him. He is awake, wide awake. Yasyam jagrati bhutani, when for whom or for all the beings, whatever is the time of awake, that becomes sanisha pashyato munehe. For the sages who is highly disciplined, that becomes nisha, the night or the darkness. So they are in two different worlds altogether. They are world apart. How can we understand? What is it? Here, nisha, the darkness or night, jagrati, day or awake, have much deeper connotation. Nisha, people think when we are in touch with the outer world, when we are interacting through the mind and the body with the outer world, that is day, the time to awake. because they are engaging themselves continuously to the outer world when they are awake, isn't it? Both body and mind are totally engaged in interacting with the outer world. That experience, which we are experiencing as Jagrat, as awake, Muni sees it as Nisha, the darkness. Because what they are going through within is the experience of Ishvara, the experience of Atma, which is much brighter than what this world is. So, in front of the experience of that bliss of Ishvara, the bliss of Atma, Chidananda, who is within, it is like Koti Surya Prakasha. That experience is emitting the light which is equivalent to crores of suns put together. That they are enjoying. In front of that experience, this worldly experience looks like Nisha for them. It is darkness. They consider it as ignorance. Because they are calling this worldly interaction itself as awake. It is that world is also coming because of the ignorance. So how can they call it as awake? They are all actually in darkness. They are in night when compared to this eternal light which is emitting from within, from the soul, from Ishvara. In front of that, it is Nisha. So this is how they feel. So by this itself, we can understand how it is so different. And because of this, for common people, what they are calling it as awake, it is Nisha for these people. Because they are not able to see it. It is dark for the commoners. So they say, I don't know anything about it. There is no Ishwar. There is no self. There is no light or anything. We are having the real life here in the world. This is truth. They are saying something. It is not my experience. My experience is this world. So for them, what Muni is going through, the experience will be like darkness. So a point in our life comes when we feel, yes, somehow I feel the Ishvara Atma has so much of bliss, Ananda. It is so much of brightness. And that brightness makes me become more radiant from within. I want to experience. That is when we say, Asatoma Sadgamaya. Take me from unreality towards the reality. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Take me from this tamas, the darkness, Nisha, Jyotirgamaya. Take me towards the Jyoti. Where is that Jyoti? Here only, Atma Jyoti. So once we experience that Atma Jyoti, which is Vishvarchir Vishwatomukha, it is not physically, it cannot be seen, but it can be experienced when we go within. And it is so bright and it has the capacity, Vishvarchit, it is Vishwatomukha. It is emitting to encompass the whole universe. It has that capacity. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So here also Krishna, when he says Yanisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagati Samyami. Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Munehi. So it is really, really clear. We people think the purpose of life, the success of life is attaining all the objects of the world under our control. Whereas the Munis, their purpose of life is to experience the self, which is beyond the manifestation. See where we are and where they are, Munis. Their purpose is to experience that beyond the manifestation. It's too great a step. So Krishna is cajoling us to get into that sadhana. Apuryamaṇam achala pratishtham samudram apah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kama yam pravishanti sarve sashantim apnoti na kama kami. So Apuryamaṇam chala pratishtham samudram. From all sides, samudra is filled with inflow of water. Apaha is water. Samudra is receiving the water from different rivers, from the rain. From all sides, it is receiving water through rivers. But achalam, achala pratishtham, it never gets disturbed. All the water is coming inside. But it is never disturbed or it never changes itself. It is just the same samudra. It is very much maintaining its boundary. Whether there is so much of water or if there is less water, it doesn't matter. It is samudra. Apaha pravishanti yadvat. Like the rivers flow into the ocean continuously, every moment. Still, it maintains itself. Tadvat, like that, kamayam pravishanti sarve, sashantim apnoti. The person who is disciplined, self-controlled, all the five senses under the control, the desire is not there. Even if they come from all directions, through all five senses, he just allows it to come, but he never gets disturbed. Just like that samudra. Kama yam pravishanti. It is not one desire. Thousands of desires. Come, it's okay. I'm not disturbed. That is his stance. So how does it work? The samudra, sea, and the rivers, the content of both of them is just the water. Isn't it? It is just the water. But sea assimilates all the inflow of the water, and also it infuses its saltiness into the water, and it contains, because of its vastness and the depth, it's able to hold it without getting disturbed or without changing itself. It is there. Exactly in the same way, the Sthita Prajna, all desires, they don't disturb him at all. They won't make him change. He very much digests it. It is just there. He assimilates all interactional impacts or the impacts of the experiences of life. Everything will not make any impact on Sthita Prajna. That is how he maintains. And there is peace in the mind to cushion or even the steady wisdom, space within, because he is not becoming I am the body, I am the mind. He is keeping that space. So all these things will act as the cushion for the impact. So he is not disturbed. That depth is there, that vastness is there, that space is there, just like the samudra, which has all these things. For this, I remember Chinmayananda Swamiji. Once a student asked him, Swamiji, you had prasadam in the previous house and you have eaten well. And in this house, you're telling that person, oh yes, you can give me all those things. I am hungry. I can eat it. And you go to the next house, there also you're acting as if you haven't eaten anything. And you are eating whatever she is giving you. How is it possible? Why, Swamiji? Were you not full in the previous two houses? What is it? Then Swamiji told him, the characteristic of a sannyasi should be in such a way that he should be able to treat fasting and breaking the fast by eating, contracting the stomach, expanding the stomach. Both should be under that man's control. I should be able to expand my stomach to accommodate the love with which they have prepared for me. They have been waiting to host me. For them, I can't go and say that I have already had too much in the previous house. I have to reciprocate. So I eat whatever they give. That's okay. It's the stomach which will hold it. It's not me. So fasting and eating like that, when it comes to that object. Many of the yatis, Jagat Gurus, they are decorated with kirita and so many silk robes, but they are not attracted by those decorations during Navaratri or some other occasions, they are not attracted or they don't feel different because they are all wearing these things. They are maintaining their calm, peaceful mind throughout. So that is the way these great munis, Thita Prajnas, behave. We do see when someone is really interested in doing something, even if we keep things what they like, even though they see it on the table, they won't touch it or they won't even look towards that. Once they finish their work, then they will ask, where did you keep it back? I want to eat it now. I want to see it now. So it was temporary. But if we get established with Atma or Ishvara, that Ananda is so different that it is eternal and it is so consuming. So one should go towards that, not the temporary things which give us that kind of experience. Vihaya kamanyah sarvan pumanscharati nispruha nirmamo nirahankarah sashantim adhigacchati. Vihaya kamanyah sarvan pumanscharati nispruha. One who has given up the strong grip on desires, giving up material desires. That person will never get disturbed when they are walking around amidst the sense objects. Nirmamo nirahankaraha, one without that mamakara, that mamatva. It is mine, possessiveness or proprietorship, one who wants to have that. Nirahankara, that is without ego. Sa Shantim Adhigacchati, that person gets the perfect peace. So when there is no desire for the objects of the world, and one, even though he is amidst all the objects, he never gets distracted. Nispruhaha, he is not disturbed at all. Nirmamo nirahankaraha, and because he doesn't have that possessiveness, he is nirmama. Nirahankara. Only when there is ego that I am an individual, I am having a status, I want this, I want that. When that becomes strong, that Shanti will not be there. Whereas this person who doesn't have that possessiveness or kartritva bhava, I am the one who is doing it, it should be mine, he doesn't have. And ahankara is also there. Nirahankara. Sashantim adhigacchati. He gets that eternal peace. Esha brahmi sthiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati. Sthitvasyam antakaleti brahma nirvanam mrichati. So finally, Krishna tells Arjuna, Esha brahmi sthiti, O Partha. Partha, see the way he's addressing Arjuna. Partha, O Partha, one who is very much Jivatma, who is thinking, I am the body, I am the mind, I belong to this world and this world is eternal. That is Partha. We are all Parthas. O Partha, Krishna is addressing each one of us. O Partha, Esha Brahmi Sthiti. This is the state of a person who is abiding in Brahma. That is, such is the state of supreme self-realization. Nainam prapya vimuhyati. Having got that prapya, he will never be deluded. Vimuhyati. He will never be deluded for any of the things around him. So, to a person who has established himself, who has realized that Brahmi state, one who has experienced that, he knows with clarity to such an extent that he has realized what is Ishvara, what is Jivatma, what is the world, how it is working, how that I is working. He knows everything clearly because that Brahman is the outermost third circle. When he has experienced that, he knows everything is within that Brahman. The Vishwa is also in that Parabrahman, Nirakara Nirguna Brahman. In that second circle, Vishwa, controlled by Ishvara, that is also very much in that Brahman. The individual, the third smallest circle, that is also very much within that Parabrahman. So, he is very stable, consistent, and is enjoying his Brahmi state. Esha Brahmi sthiti partha na enam prapya vimuhyati. He will never be deluded, confused, or even though the body and the mind of this person is acting exactly like any other person, within he is totally different. He looks very similar to us, but he is not so within. He is not deluded at any moment. He is strong and steady. Nainam prapya vimuhyati. Thitva syamanta kalepi. This person might have been through sadhana, he has achieved it from a long time. But that doesn't mean that others will not have it. Even if we have already spent our old age, even at that point, even at antakalepi, even at the last moment before approaching the death, if one attains that Atma Sthiti, he will get Brahma Nirvanam Richati. He attains that state of Brahman. So, at the last minute, at the last moment, before leaving the body, physical body, if a person is able to experience Atma, Ishvara, he gets that state of Brahman. He realizes Brahman. And because of that, he also gets free from the cycle of Janma, Mrityu. He realizes Janma and Mrityu is for the body and the mind, not Atma, the self, not the Ishvara. I am that Atma. Then there is no mind or body constrainment. Because when I say I am Atma, which is ever expansive, there is no body or mind. So when will I or where will I experience the death? I am there eternally. That experience gives him Brahma Nirvana. So we all should be extremely grateful and thankful for both Arjuna and Krishna for having this conversation, which is very well documented by Vyasa Maharshi. So let's thank them from the bottom of our heart and try our way to be in line with this Upadesha. Bhagavate Vasudeva Geetam